ACI 1948 here. The Circus Cub is undergoing some surgery. And it's not been a fun process so far. I think this patient will make it though. The big problem is it will go in reverse, it just won't go forward. And the reasoning is one of the plungers is stuck down. But the way they put the plungers in there, the one on the left runs reverse and the one on the right runs the forward. But you can see the forward one is down, and that one, the reverse one, is up. So I only have a reverse gear. And the real issue here is I can't take that plunger out. I tried unscrewing it. I even I took a Dremel and kind of took these down, these fins down a little bit so I could get a wrench. And then I took a wrench and I kind of, where's that one at? I got so many wrenches I tried on different things. Took a wrench and I kind of modified it. I didn't care much about the wrench. It just, as long as it works. I mean, it's still usable for what it was, or what it is, but I was able to modify it to get up in there. I was able to get that taken out, but I couldn't get it out of there because the piece is too long to angle it out and get it out and bring it where I could work on it. So that piece is still stuck down in there. So the only way to get to that is to remove this whole rear end. The way to remove the rear end is 2 bolts here, 2 bolts there, everything up underneath holding it. The control piece, I'm trying to think what else. There's a fan guard that's held on with 4 bolts. I think that has to come off too, so I can slide with it. And yeah, I'm gonna be doing this tomorrow and I'm not really looking forward to it. That's why I spent so much time trying to get that out this way. You know, as much time as I spent working on that, I probably could have got a good start on pulling the rear end off. But the back piece, it's 3 bolts holding it on each side, and then I just took the 2 screws with nuts underneath off there, and I was able to lift the whole piece up, and there it is, the seat and all. So that just basically sits on there, bolts on. There's 2 shields that go back here. They're bolted on back there. They have nuts they're just like these. They got nuts up underneath. But here's one of the shields, and this one sits up higher, and then the other one sits underneath it. I don't have it in here. But I was working on the paint really faded on it. So I'm using this Mother's, it's for mag and aluminum, but it really seems to have brought back the shine. You compare that to that. So that's just what I'm doing on that. Also, I tried it here. I don't know how well you can see the color difference, but I hit over here with it, and over there doesn't have it. But to the eye, it looks a little better. But I've had this one all apart. I mean, I even had this as far apart as I could get it. I had the steering column out of it, and the engine out of it, and the front end all disassembled. And this thing was a complete tear down and restore, and it took longer than it should have, mostly because they had like 3 or 4 layers of paint on everything. And I was using the wire wheel on it because it's all I had at the time. And every part was a big pain to get paint off of. This thing was taking down the bare metal completely. The faceplate, I'll leave a link in the description if anyone wants to kind of see how this was put together and everything. It's not really too great, but it's on Garden Tractor Talk, GT Talk. My mom did that part because I'm not that good an artist. I did some of the stripes and she did some of the stripes. And originally what they did on, well, I'll go over what they did. This was the first hydrostat built by Cub Cadet in '67, and they wanted to show off how good it was, because everyone, they liked their gear drive. The 123 was, or 122 was the exact same thing, except it had a gear drive transmission and not a hydrostat. So they basically took this, they changed a couple little things with like where pieces were put on it for the like on the 122, if I remember right, I think your choke's on this side or something like that, and this obviously isn't there, and your shifter comes up through here, but they swapped all that out. I have a 122 as well. I bought this one mainly because I wanted to have, I was trying to get one of each number, but it's been kind of a long process. There's a lot of them to get. But the point was they painted up like circus animals, because no one trusted the transmission, and then they jam them in forward and reverse and do like jumps and wheelies, and they'd have a like lion tamer or someone with a whip, you know, and they'd be here and they'd like crack a whip at it and they'd do a wheelie, and well, people were driving it, of course, but they were trying to show off how durable the hydrostat was. And obviously, if you look at just about any new mower nowadays, it took off. I don't know if that was such a good thing, but they work. I'll take a gear drive any day, really, but especially with the gear drive, you don't run into things like that where you have to take the whole rear end out for one little plunger. And really, all they had to do was like have that, I don't know, just have this panel extend a little bit more, and it could have been covering up right where you needed to get, or they could have moved this pump back just a little bit. Something could have been done just a little bit different to make that accessible, unless there's some other way that I don't know of. But this here is actually like welded to the frame, so it's all one piece. I can't just take this shield off, and also that'd require removing this whole column, which no, that's not the right steering wheel. The steering wheel's off of I think it was a 107 I took parts off of. I bought a 107 for parts, and really it wasn't in too bad a shape, but I was so far into this one, it was like the steering wheel this one was supposed to be flat. It had rubber all around it, but by the time I got it pulled off there, it ended up breaking all the rubber around it, and it wasn't in that great a shape to start with. And the engine is off of a 107 as well. It's a 10 horse, and it runs really good. That mower, the guy said they bought it, they used it a handful of times and never really used it too much, just like mowed once in a while with it, and that was about all they did with it. And so this is a pretty low hour engine from original, and I believe that one was like a 71 or 72 was the 107. But I kind of like this steering wheel better, because when it was flat, you'd like hit your knuckle on this if you were coming around with it. You might end up going faster or slower and bumping it, or go into reverse when you don't want to. So this one, you're up away from it. So I like that. Also, it looks pretty cool with the chrome and everything on it. And it actually is an International Cadet style steering wheel. I think this whole, if I remember right, I think this whole steering shaft's out of the 107. A lot of these parts are interchangeable. That engine was, the whole wiring harness is off the 107, because the one that was on this was butchered. It was like random wires just thrown together, and I mean, this one's not much better, but it's a lot better than what they had. This one even charges. The 107 had a voltmeter on it, so I just kind of wired that in, and actually does charge, and generator works, and that came off of it, and it had the right muffler on it already. The one I had a straight muffler with a round, you know, it wasn't like one of those style mufflers on it. Oh great, now I'm going to waste a bunch of time doing it. One of those style mufflers on it, which isn't what belonged on this. It should have been this big can style. But I'll go ahead and fire it up and show you what it's doing. I don't really have much space to back it up. And of course it's locked in gear now. Yeah, I'll start it up at least. Well, all it'll do is go in reverse, like it's trying to do now. I'm probably gonna have to choke it, but I'll give it some throttle or something's up. Of course, I turn the camera on, it doesn't want to go. Yep. It's always been a good runner. I've had it for a few years. See what I mean? It won't go forward, but it'll go reverse. It's like it tries to go forward, kinda, but it's just not pushing up enough on that piece. Yeah, charging. So that's always a good thing. The tail was what do you call it? It was for doing drains, like an eel type of thing, and it's a stainless steel with like a cable in the middle of it. But Dad had a bunch of that laying around, and it's just like that. It's just, it's like it's stiff enough and it kind of bounces, and the end here is a turkey baster because that would have been a sharp piece, so I glued on a turkey baster squeeze ball part for it, and it was just like, that was perfect, and it was black already. so yeah, that's my Circus Cub. I'll be doing an update on it probably tomorrow, because I'm going to be tearing into that mess, and I guess I'll take you guys along with me. If you want to see what goes into doing this. It's not something I'm looking forward to. I've had it apart, but that's been a couple years. Like 2012, 2013, I think was when I did this. But alright, well, that's going to do it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.